Right, good day grade 12. In the previous 4 videos that I did on stock valuation, I focused on the methods, the way that we use the different types of methods to value our final stock. So I did three differences, the 3 different methods we use and what the advantages and disadvantages of each of them were. And then we did a task where we looked at the 3. Remember, that's the Pacific identification method, the FIFO method, and then the weighted average method. Now that type of question will come in paper 1 now under the new system, where you are recording the value of your closing stock so you can calculate your cost of sales. There is a second part to this whole stock valuation, and that is the control. You must remember there's a lot of money invested in your stock, and it's therefore very important that you control the stock, that you don't have excessive losses occurring in the stock or holding too much stock, because then it's going to affect your gross profit. So from an internal control point of view, which is the focus of paper 2, we can look at the stock methods as well. So now let's just have a look at some. And I'm just taking and I'm working through a couple of exercises from the New Era book, and I'm looking at 10.14 first of all over here. And it says here, looking at the 10.14.2, the owners of the opinion that the business would have shown a greater profit if they had used the weighted average method. Now, you'll notice that they used the FIFO method. So the first part of this would have been the calculations, which we've already done. Now he's saying we would show a greater profit if we use the weighted average. Do you agree? And you have to show your calculations to this question. Right, so you would have to do a calculation, getting your value of your closing stock using the weighted average, and you would have already done it the FIFO method. So I'm not going over that now because that's part of the previous lessons. But remember, to work out gross profit is sales minus cost of sales. Your cost of sales is your opening stock, and I'm just taking an example of 10, plus your purchases of 50, and minus your closing stock. So let's say in one method you got a closing stock of 48, of 12 Rand. That would mean that your cost of sales was 48 Rand, 10 plus 50 minus 12. So your cost of sales would have been 48, and if you subtract it from your sales, you would show a gross profit of 52 Rand. However, if in the alternative method, if your closing stock came out to be 15, and remember, if you're using different methods, you are going to come out with different valuations. If your closing stock came out to 15, your cost of sales will now be 45, and 100 minus 45 gives you a gross profit of 55. So you can see there that the higher the stock value, the higher the amount that you are subtracting from the amount of goods that you've got to sell, the higher your gross profit. And so therefore you can manipulate to show your gross profit, to show a higher gross profit by changing the method. So if we remember, we went back to this exercise, and it said that the owner's of the opinion that he could change it if he changed to the weighted average. Do you agree? Now, once you've got your figures, you could agree or disagree. But the very important thing is you may not change the method. In order to be able to compare from year to year, in order for there to be transparency, we have to use the same method within a product range. So do you agree, irrespective of what it does to the gross profit, you may not change your method within a certain category of goods. If you've got different goods and you're valuing them on different valuations, that's fine, but within a range you may not change it. Now, another typical question from an internal control point of view is to know the number of bags that have been stolen. In this particular case over here, we were looking at leather bags. So they wanted to know if there were goods being stolen. Now, from a control point of view, you need to control if goods have been stolen. So now what we need to do is have a look over here and say, right, we have been given some figures over here. Right, we've got an opening stock, we've got our purchases, and please take note that there were some returns, but in this exercise they've actually blocked this off for you, and so those returns have already been minused in that figure. Just watch, because sometimes those returns come out below. So that's what you had available. You had 24 plus 159. You've sold 144 and you've got a closing stock of 19. So let's have a look and see. If we had an opening stock then, so using those figures that I've just given to you there, we had an opening stock of 24. We had the purchases minus the returns of 159. That's what we had available then in order to sell. We have sold 144 and we've got 19 left over. And this should equal naught, because you shouldn't have anything else available. But if you work this out, there's a difference of 20. And therefore you've had goods stolen. 20 is the amount of goods, because that's what you've had available. You had 159 plus 24 is 183. But you've only sold 144 of them, and you've only got 19 left over. So there are 20 bags that are unaccounted for. And that, from a control point of view, means the business has to do something in order to control that stock. Now, another typical question that is often asked of us is the owner is undecided about the markup percentage and whether he should increase or decrease this or leave it unchanged, and comment quoting evidence. Now, we know that markup is sales minus cost of sales gives you your gross profit. Now, that percentage is what they're talking about. Now, if you look in this exercise, that you'll see that the bags started off by costing you 210 Rand, but they increased up to a maximum of 231 Rand. So your cost price of your bags is changing, but yet your selling price has stayed the same at 320. Now, if your cost price has increased and you're selling at the same price, you obviously are making a lower markup. Now, what they want you to know is to identify that, first of all, and then secondly, to say whether he should do this or whether he should change it. And there could be arguments either way. You could say that he should increase the markup as the cost price increases, so he makes the same profit per bag. On the other hand, it might be that although these are leather bags and they generally are more expensive, if he starts increasing the selling price too much, maybe people won't buy it. And so maybe while he's making a slightly less profit on some of the bags, he is still selling 144 of the bags. So you could argue it from either way around. Now, I just spoke to you about the fact that if you've got two different products, it is possible to use two different methods of evaluating. Like in this example here, we've got a golf shop, and their golf balls are using the weighted average method, and the golf clubs are using the FIFO method. And a typical question could be to ask you, why are they using the different methods? Why did they not stick to the same? Remember what I said to you earlier? Once they've chosen a method, and although there's a difference between the methods, golf balls must always be valued at weighted average. It's unethical to change it, because then you are manipulating figures, and that loses credibility and loses transparency. If you've started your golf clubs at FIFO, you must continue to look at FIFO. Now, if you have a look at this, and there could be various answers, and you could come up with some of your own in the meantime too. But if you look at golf balls, the golf balls cost is 20 Rand, and that's the highest it actually went up to, and the sales are at 24 Rand. Very low figures, the cost of a golf ball. And if you look at the thousands that they are selling, and anybody who knows anything about golf balls, although you do get different types of golf balls, and some golfers will only want certain golf balls, we're generalizing it here, and we're saying we've got a big box of golf balls here. Now, it's a lot more difficult to actually know exactly which golf ball you're selling and controlling which of the types of golf balls you're selling. Whereas if you look at golf clubs, now golf clubs, the sticks that they actually use, if you look at the cost price, there's a much higher value that is put into that. And the selling price is a lot higher than the golf balls. You're also not selling anywhere near the number that you would be selling under the golf balls. And that's why this business has decided that because there's so much money invested in golf clubs, they're going to value it at the FIFO method. They obviously are more in a position to distinguish one set of golf clubs from another set of golf clubs, so they know exactly which golf clubs they are selling. They are therefore selling it at the most realistic figure, which is the best method. In other words, they would be valuing the 720 that they've got here at the latest prices. There's the 160 and the 500 at the latest prices, which is a lot more than what they started off with. So stock has been valued at the most realistic figure, and because of the value, it would be far more realistic. Whereas in the case of golf balls, there is such a number. To try and distinguish one golf ball from another is a lot more time consuming, and time is money. And so they are using rather an average. The cost of it is not really varying that much. It went from 20, yes, it did drop down to 14, but then it went back up to 18, 20, 18. The cost price is not varying that much. And so in view of the time and the number, it is be a simpler process to use the weighted average method. See if you can come up with some other examples. Now, these are the typical type of questions that will come up in an exam under a control point of view of stock. So please, in your textbooks, and you can see that I've now just flipped through a couple of them in the New Era book, but all the textbooks, all the study guides will have these questions. What you do need to be aware of is that from this year, because you're writing 2 exam papers, one part of it, the actual valuation, will be in paper 1, whereas the control side of it will be in paper 2. So please, inventory is an important section. It will always be there, and it's actually a relatively easier section compared to some aspects of your work like cash flow and analysis. So try and get the better of it and try and master it. Good luck.